Hi, welcome to Psychic Frank's Mystery School. Namaste. So glad to be here, back in the saddle. I want to start right off. Yeah, I'm here the first and the third Thursdays now at 5, but most people see me on Saturday nights on Channel 29 here in San Francisco. And boy, it's feels like rain. I'm loving this. It's so beautiful. Okay, so I want to start off my last show. People who are regulars are watching me not only in San Francisco but on YouTube. Thank you for all that. And my last show, people have said, "Wow, you got it was more spiritual. It was more political than spiritual." And how could you separate the two after Ronald Reagan and Gingrich got through with their reign? It totally everywhere, the religious right, Reagan, gave them power. So our country, based on religious freedom, thanks to Ronald Reagan, that they named an airport, but we're not going to that's a buzzkill. We're not going to go there. But so yeah, my last show, I thought I had as I said, Mars is in Aquarius. And Venus rules the whole month of October, and we got a new moon coming up. We've got so much to cover today. But I want to start off from where I left off because it's just one little paragraph, so just bear with me. Because as I said, when we hear President Obama say that Donald Trump is the symptom and then doesn't take any responsibility for being the cause, every time after he got elected, he sent Pelosi out and Rahm Emanuel. So every time Rahm Emanuel was virtually charmless. So every time we see Sarah Huckabee Sanders and whatever that woman's name is with the blonde hair there, all these, these Spicer people. Well, Obama had Rahm Emanuel, and if he didn't like the question you asked him, like if you asked him why he wasn't pursuing the war crimes, he would just tell you, "What are you, stupid?" and shut up. He was a real not nice guy. So the one sentence I thought Obama said, I thought was ironic. It's totally ironic, and then we'll get on to the other things. I'm not going to make this all politics, but you can't separate. When I first got sober, my sponsor and I left a meeting in the hate, and somebody was talking about the spiritual part of life, and then we left out, and her name was Frankie, rest her soul, and she said, what's spiritual? What's not spiritual? It's all spiritual, but a lot of people have like these cubby holes. Well, that has nothing to do with my spirituality. It's like God knows no religion, and it's all spiritual. Spirituality got a bad rap, I tell you. But get into it, okay? And he, quote unquote, this is President Obama. This is what I thought was totally ironic. Nothing will be gained by spending our time and energy laying blame for the past. Namely the war, Cheney and Bush's war crimes, and leading us into a war we're still fighting. I threw that in. That's not in it. Nothing will be gained by spending our time and energy laying blame for the past. We must resist the forces that divide us and instead come together on behalf of our common future. Well, isn't it ironic? Now, 10 years down the road, whatever, 8 years down, 10 years down the road, we've got the most division ever. So, just wanted to, I thought you'd enjoy that bit of irony there. And Lindsey Graham, that piece of garbage, he said criminalizing legal advice after one administration is out of the office is bad precedent. Well, there you go. So keep that in mind. All we want from President Obama, all I want, and most people who, like myself, were betrayed by him by not pursuing the war crimes, we just want an apology. Just admit what you did. Just say, you know what, hindsight now, I could have not thrown the working class under the bus. Okay, I said I wasn't going to go on about it, but I just want to, I want your anger to get stirred up, not to be angry, but to use that anger and transform it into action. You know, talk about this stuff. You know, next time somebody says, "Yeah, President Obama was the best," say, "Well, you know, he wasn't all that in a bag of chips because," and then what I just told you, you can repeat to him because it is the truth. Okay, yeah, the stench from Washington D.C., the swamp, the psychic stench is. Oh, it's just, it's a real buzzkill, I'll tell you that. Okay, so let's get to the astrology. Venus rules. Okay, here we are, the 4th of November, Thursday. So tomorrow, the 5th, here on Pacific time, at 12:05 p.m., Venus goes retrograde, 10 degrees Scorpio. And yes, it's very unusual that Venus entered Scorpio on the 9th of September, and now she's back in, now she'll be in Scorpio all of this month, practically. Yeah, and then at the very beginning of next month, she backs up to November 1st, she backs up 29:37, backs up into Libra, goes from 29 down to 25 Libra, and then on the 16th of November, Venus goes direct, 25:14 Libra, and then come December, she goes back into, on the 3rd, no, actually the Sunday the 2nd here on the West Coast, Venus enters Scorpio again at 9:02 a.m., 0 degree Scorpio. And then it's going to be, I wrote it down here, 1 minute, I got it right here. Yeah, it'll be January 8th, 2019, Venus goes back into, enters Sagittarius, leaves Scorpio. So that's a lot of time for Venus and Scorpio. Now, Venus is all about, you know, sexuality. See, what's happening now on the new moon coming up. New moons, we all get a chance to press the reset emotional button. So this one's 15 degrees Libra on Monday, October 8th here on the West Coast, 8:47 p.m. Now the new moon with Mercury, let me get my mountain astrologer, I got it right here. See, Venus turns retrograde. Here it is in the Mountain Astrologer. I don't know if you can see that. This is the latest issue of the Mountain Astrologer, October, November. Hi, Ray and everybody, a Mountain Astrologer of the mountains. Venus is retrograde. Yeah, this is a big deal. From October 5th until November 16th, when it turns direct at 25 Libra. The chart at the right in the astrological map below casts for the moment Venus turns retrograde. The moon will be 27 Leo. It's always important to know where the moon is. And Mars will be 7 degrees Aquarius. See, so there's a square going on between Venus and Mars. It's bubbling up now to the surface. It's all sexual things. All things sexual. You know, I thought it was very interesting that not many, I didn't read it anywhere. I know I'm not the only one. My ego's not that out of control. But on election day of 22 years ago, when everybody was expecting Hillary Clinton to win the election, and she didn't. And what we got was Donald Trump. What went on early that morning, was Mars entered Aquarius. Okay, so that was 2016, November 2016. Yeah, it was early in the morning. Mars entered Aquarius, which is ruled by Uranus. And that's the wild card, the disruptor, the throw lightning paths at you. You know, if Hillary had gotten in, we would have gotten like, you know, the same old, big banks, big, you know, We're going to see paradigm changes now because that pendulum is going to swing the other way. And I believe it's going to happen in February. I believe very strongly in February because that's when Uranus will go back into Taurus. But right now, Uranus, the ruler of... See, Mars is spending 6 months in Aquarius. This ends on November 15th. So there's a thread here. Mars on election day. Mars is responsible. Remember, the planets don't make things happen. They simply reflect what's going on. Excuse me. So Mars is responsible. Nobody saw it because Mars is how you deal with it. And when people woke up that day, and even people that didn't think they wanted to vote for Donald Trump, when they got in, they were probably on the fence and just fed up with the whole idea of getting the Clintons in the White House. I mean, that would have been, we'd all, you know, who knows where that would have been. But we even though this is a mess now, it's what it took. This is what it took for, you know, it's an interesting, if you're afraid, it's because you have more faith in evil than you do in God. That's from Emmet Fox, and I think that's important to remember. If you're afraid, it's because you have more faith in evil than you do in God. So remember, this is God's will that's happening now. And even though we don't see it, a lot of us don't. When we step back, take some deep breaths. So that's what this air sign Libra is all about now. Getting some air, get some air in there. We've got so much hot air coming out of Washington, so much hypocrisy. So isn't that interesting? It was Mars in Aquarius that brought Donald Trump in. It's going to be Mars in Aquarius now that's taking him out because people are connecting dots. Synapses are happening in the brain. It's like, you know, these senators now are, see, you can't not... What I'm doing here is making the correlation between planetary activity and what we're living through. We're living through these paradigm changes. So yeah, for most of this month, we've got Venus squaring Mars. So this is a time to use this window of opportunity. Squares are never easy, but wow, they are windows of opportunity. And what's bubbling up now is the seething. See, Venus represents grace, beauty, accommodation in relationships, anticipating what someone's needs might be before, and stepping in to help them before they don't even know they need help. But when that's not used, when Venus goes bad, you know, sometimes that can go into disempowering. So now we want to realize where we're being taken advantage of, say, for instance, being a gentleman and always giving. After a while, women can start, you know, taking advantage. So you might want to cut those Venus things out. But the square between is to focus on our patterns. Like once or twice, it's a coincidence. If it happens all the time, you got a pattern going on. And if your little gut tells you every time something happens, like it's like Groundhog's Day, you know, you get the same thing over and over again. And so now's a good time to let go, focus on patterns. And if they're not healthy patterns, you know, now would be a good time because Pluto is all about the planet of death, destruction, and rebirth is also in the mix. So actually on October 5th, on this Venus turns retrograde day. See, so Venus, the planet of happiness, wherever you're, you know, remember the sun is your purpose, Mars is your MO, your modus operandi, how you roll. And at the end of the day, Venus is always going to have her way. Always you want to get on somebody's good sign, open up, find out their birthday, and then open up an ephemeris and find out their birthday, where their Venus is or what sign their Venus is. And like Venus in Scorpio, people with Venus in Scorpio, they like intensity. The shadow, Venus, people can be jealous. Jealousy, especially in Scorpio, Venus in Scorpio. Venus in Libra people could take an awful lot until finally the last straw breaks the back, or so to speak. That's a horrible metaphor. Well, until it's the bushel breaks. That's a better way of putting it. I don't want to see any camels with broken backs. It's like saying I'm going to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Who wants to kill birds? I don't. It's funny how, you know, we just say things, you know, by living around, you know. Anyway, so there you go now. So we could use this this month is, yeah, breathe air. Use this frequency. Venus is great. See, the higher octave of Venus is Neptune, the spiritual planet. So it's time now to really, use this frequency of grace that's available now. Harmony, do your ohms. I tell you, the veil is so thin now. All you have to do is be open. All you have to do is be open when you start your day. I release this. I will to will thy will. My higher self. Yeah, we're taping. I just wanted to make sure I was taping there. So how this is affecting. Oh yeah, and then we have the. Excuse me. Okay, so that's, so what I said, so January, on election day 20, so now we have November coming up, the election day. Now this November on election day, Mars will be 24 degrees Aquarius. Excuse me. Okay, and where's Donald Trump's chart? For America, all this Aquarius energy is exactly on our south node. See, America in our money house, the south node, north node, one, we can't ever look back bitterly, and two, there's a fine line between looking back bitterly and also realizing we got to, like Obama didn't want to deal with the past. He, for whatever reason, let these war criminals get lost. I don't think Bush's W is allowed in Britain. I think he'll get arrested if he gets off a plane in Britain. The press doesn't tell you that. They say prostitutes and real estate get respectable with old age. And that's definitely, I think, a lot of presidents fall into, a lot of political people fall into that. But I digress. So yeah, on election day on November 6th, let me make sure we got that right. Yeah, 6th. And also, Uranus backs up to 29 Aries until February. That's why I say it's going to be February when Uranus backs into Taurus, goes straight into Taurus again. We had a little taste for a few months of Uranus, liberating Uranus, which is the ruling planet of Aquarius, which Mars happens to be in now. See, so Mars is all energizing. Very unusual. Mars is spending 6 months in Aquarius. Usually every 2 years, Mars goes into Aquarius for 6 weeks, 2 months. But we're going back and forth, and this is all on America's moon. And our North Node is 24, so Mars is right on election day will be realizing, like, we're the Aquarius Leo opposition is like the lights on the runway. We tell people this is where you land, and our North Node 24 degrees, and it's all about the heart. I think people's hearts have been touched now. The healing has started. I mean, the heart right now, as I'm speaking, as we're probably enjoying your little life now. There's children, orphan children now in cages, being treated like animals. Psychological damage is being done now to toddlers and young people, young adolescents. It's a heartache. People's hearts are open now, and this, it's just what's been going on is just sadistic. It's just cruel. I think Elvis Presley, don't be cruel. I think that's people don't understand. Cruel isn't a cute word. Cruel is like, it's mean. Cruel people, it's a mess. Okay, so all this Mars energy is in opposition to Donald Trump's Mars. But the big thing is Pluto just went direct 2 days ago, 18, almost 19 degrees Capricorn. Capricorn's an intercepted constellation in Donald Trump's chart. And I doubt he has ever seen an astrology that's given him the special key of knowledge to work with that. But right now, with Saturn is where it was 30 years ago, and that's in opposition to his Venus. Venus right now in Scorpio is in his fourth house, in his third house, forming a sweet aspect to his Pluto. Yeah, all the things he's been sweeping under the carpet now, all his I's that haven't been dotted, all his T's that haven't been crossed. This is what's happening now between Saturn in opposition to his Mercury. Exact Mercury, Saturn right now just went direct last week, is 3 degrees Capricorn. As we go to the Libra new moon, October 8th, here in California, Pacific time, 8:46 p.m. So when you tuck in on Monday night, the new moon, log on. Surround yourself with light and love with the Holy Spirit. So for the United States of America now, all this Scorpio energy is in our 12th house. House of institutions, where we hide our pictures Norman Rockwell forgot to paint. So when any planet goes retrograde, the gifts of that planet go at a cause level. Okay, so while Mars was in Capricorn, it went to Capricorn for a few weeks, but now it's back in Aquarius. While it was in Capricorn, we got a chance to plow the field. So now we are ready to plant some seeds with this Aries-Uranus energy. But if you're gonna rally through this Uranus energy, which I know we are, we've got to definitely make room for the unexpected. What do they say? If you want to make God laugh, tell your plans. It's one thing, just affirm God's will is being done here. We're going to come out of this stronger, and paradigm changes, of course, for the better. Not for a second will I entertain, even if Kavanaugh gets in, which is a good chance he just might, he will be impeached when it's going to be a tsunami, blue wave. Yeah, Venus is the higher, Neptune's the higher octave of Venus, so you really bring all that grace into the earth plane. Full moon, yeah, because at the end of the month we get, of October, we get the Taurus full moon. Mercury, Jupiter, all in Scorpio at the last day of October rather, on Halloween. We get Venus in opposition to Uranus, and then Venus backs up into Libra on Halloween. Yeah, Halloween is the high holy days for psychics and mystics and shaman. So, okay, that's, let's see what else we got going on here. By the way, you could call in. It's only, we just started, really. We're only a few minutes, 22 minutes into this. Yeah, the number is 861-6648. Didn't bring my ephemeris, but I do have my cards. Yeah, the Libra new moon places a natural, I'm reading from the Mountain Astrologer here. So wherever 10 degrees to 29, 23 degrees Libra, what is that? Venus goes all the way down to 25 Libra. So yeah, most of November Venus will be back in Libra, and then December and January, beginning of January, Venus finishes up her Scorpio thing. So Venus brings a sweet time with her, but only this month, beginning of this month, do we have the square going on between Mars retrograde in Aquarius. I mean, not retrograde anymore. Mars direct in Aquarius. Back in Aquarius, where it's been since May. So those synapses now, things are, when you ask a question, believe me, you'll get an instant answer. So it says, the Libra new moon places a natural emphasis on one-to-one relationships with the sun and moon conjunct. Bear in mind that Libra is a cardinal sign, which adds a boost through the theme. Mars in Aquarius reminds us the need to pull together, emphasizes humanitarian issues. That's Aquarius. And the belief of group efforts. We can support one another. We all win. Yeah, so with all this intensity now, it's important not to let anger get the best of you. You know, just take some breaths and remind yourself this. And I practice what I preach, believe me. Yeah, you know, thank God I have, you know, it's not a lot of friends, but it's not quantity, it's quality. It's quality. You know, in the meanwhile, talking about healers, a lot of people are realizing their calling is to be a spiritual healer, and yet there's no book to tell you exactly what kind of a spiritual healer you're going to be. You might do, there's like a zillion different ways of doing it. I was just reading something about Toll, which I hope we'll get some time to share on that. But Surodas, Lama Surodas, said something very interesting here about how to begin this called Tolgin meditation exchange. It's called one-on-one, oneself for others. You know, it's it says many teachers recommend that you begin any practice along spiritual healings, especially this one, with begin the practice of sending and taking. That's what Tolgin means. When you see suffering, you take and send good energy, and then you dismiss it. It sounds scary, and you can't get hurt doing it. I mean, it's not like you get the disease, but you have to be a master. You shouldn't attempt to do this until you're real advanced. But you could know time like starting. Here you go. So it says, recommend you do this. You simply consider yourself as having two parts. One part is loving and compassionate. The other needs love and compassion. Envision yourself being able to send love and care and acceptance back to your own being. That's dynamic now. Let's open our heart chakra and listen to that again. To do this, you simply consider yourself as having two parts. One part is loving and compassionate, semicolon. The other part needs love and compassion. Envision yourself being able to send love and care and acceptance back to your own being. I highly recommend that you begin your sending and taking practice with thoughts of your own being, your life, and your journey. The most important thing you should do, and you should do it all the time, the most important thing is pray for yourself. When trying to generate compassion, that's Emmet Fox, I believe. It's not just me, but it's true. When trying to generate compassion for all beings, it is essential to remember that you are one of them. You have to be strong, confident, and accepting of yourself before you can begin accepting others. Use Tolgin to forgive yourself for the things about which you feel guilty, inadequate, or responsible. Use Tolgin as a spiritual healing to return to wholeness and wellness. Through this soulful healing practice, as Lao Tzu said, when you accept yourself, the whole world accepts you. Wow. Yeah, most people don't accept themselves, you know, and yeah, and it says our feelings our bodies have limited shelf life. They are impermanent and changeable. It's not religious dogma, it's just how it is. Being ephemeral, our bodies are ultimately dissatisfying. Who can get lasting fulfillment from a mere body, from sensual experiences? Even the most exquisite body experiences are fleeting and ephemeral, leaving us thirsty for more. Talk about the cosmetic industry, huh? Our feelings are certain. Oh yeah, vegans can live to be 120 now. That's a fact. That's a fact, Jack. Yeah, I was just watching PBS and these doctors now. It's all over the place. Yeah, a cruelty-free diet is the way. Animal-free. Yeah, you don't need to eat. Well, it's a personal thing. Our bodies have limited shelf life. Yeah, our feelings are certainly ephemeral. So are our perceptions. Ditto our intentions. States of consciousness change all the time. In fact, we are all works in progress. Like it or not, we are never the same. Remember the Greek philosopher, I can't say his name, Heracles, who said, you can't step into the same river twice. You can't step into the same river twice. Each of us is like a river whose waters are forever changing. Westerners often use mind, quote unquote, as a primary definition for the self. I think, therefore I am. But Buddhism points out that you are not what you think. Like the weather, what you think is unpredictable and subject to change. Because of this, the untrained mind is also essentially unreliable. Your thoughts and feelings lack permanence. This is a fact of conditioned, conventional existence. Moreover, who and what you what are you when you are not thinking, or in the brief moment in between thoughts do not intermittently cease to exist. On the other hand, your innate, ineffable Buddha nature is not impermanent. It is not subject to change. This inner light is unbound, untrampled, and immaculate. Your Buddha self inside of you right now is immaculate. As I know that's inconceivable, but just to conceive it a little there is a big thing. You make one little effort now, things quantumly come back, you know. It can be relied on. It can be depended on. It is perfectly, inherently wise and warm, free and complete from the beginningless beginning, actualizing that luminous, formless, and intangible core is what awakening is all about. Namaste. This is Awakening the Buddha Within, Lama Soro Das. And then there's something goes right along with that. We'll have to get back to that. Okay, so the Libra new moon, and then at the end of the month, well, I'll be here before that. I'll be back here, God willing, on the 18th at 5 o'clock of this October. Yeah, that's a big one there because, where are we? Here we go. Yeah, the full moon in Taurus conjunct Uranus, and yeah, that's going to be a big thing. Yeah, because Uranus will still be in Taurus in next month. So the full moon will be on, here we go, 1 degree Taurus. Yeah, so Uranus and the sun will be 1 degree Taurus. So expect, explode into the stagnation. Yeah, this is going to be a really volatile month, so it's important now. You'll remember, like, when they don't want Kaepernick to do the knee because they don't want non-violence. They want violence, so don't let them have their way. But we could do a lot by being non-violent. We can. What's going on here in San Francisco? Yeah, get involved. Get involved. What else did I want to talk about here? What else is there going on? Oh, yeah, so, yeah, Donald, let's see what the cards say. People like when I do the cards. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I brought them, and I always forget to do the cards. Yeah, so right here in San Francisco, it's Fleet Week. And all this weekend, if you're watching this on Saturday night, the 6th, you'll be hearing a lot of the Blue Angels. They do these amazing formation. I saw them on the way over here. I remember it was way back in the early 80s when I was in the mystery school up on Vallejo. And they were having a Saturday morning special workshop where we had these pyramids, and then there was this long table with all kinds of stones, and we spent, it was called a darshan board, an energy exchange board. And Norma Tringali, who ran the place, it was her mystery school, she had learned this in India, and so we all got in there and we consecrated. It took the whole day. It was beautiful. I still have mine. I have it right at the foot of my bed, actually. So yeah, one days I like to make them. When I get my mystery school going, I like to make the darshan boards. You could put things under there that need clearing. It's like a pyramid kind of thing. And Norma Tringali said to me, everybody was complaining, that noise, you know, because the Blue Angels, it's like this piercing sound. And Norma said something I'll never forget. She didn't say it to everybody because it was a big room. She just looked at me and she said, they don't understand that sound is clearing out a lot of the negative energy that needs to be cleared out. Just like the bell or chimes clear out energy. We bang a gong, it clears energy. Sacred sounds, well, that's a sacred, that's like industrial, boom, the whole. And on the way over here, the Blue Angels were over my head, and I said, I got to remember to tell people, don't curse that. You know, not that you would, but don't. Yeah, get into it. You know, bless it. You know, life's, that's one of the paradoxes, I guess. Okay, so let's see. My prediction is definitely he's a 2-year president, and by February he'll be out. Yeah, I got that insight this morning, and a lot of other people have too, and I validate them, the ones that are saying that. Okay, let's see what I could tell my viewers. Okay, let me get into my non-local space. Okay, collective consciousness. I'm getting the collective consciousness of everyone that's going to be watching this, and concerning our democracy is definitely never been closer to. It was fragile to begin with. Donald Trump, I mean the Bush administration totally used it for butt wipe. Most of the Constitution went into the shredder. And then as I said, the Bush and Cheney lowered the bar so low that Donald Trump was able to ooze on under it. But now about what we could see now. So yeah, even if Kavanaugh does get in, it'll be temporary, totally temporary, because he's. See, that's the good thing about being sober all these years. I had a few relapses, but I mainly not in a long time, thanks to cancer, back in '06. But in '82, I was sober for, I had gone through a $20,000 starting point program, live-in rehab for 30 days. And I got an education. Most people feel that they don't understand functioning alcoholics or people that hold jobs. Well, look at all the money he makes. Or look at this. Look at Boehner, that guy with the red nose who was the head of Congress there. He drank. They passed around a flask in Congress. Bunch of wet-brained drunks. Yes, so, drunk and stupid ain't no way to get around. Yeah, they're saying now there's no amount of alcohol is good for the human body. Get into cannabis, brothers and sisters. I was waiting for the buzz here, and this cool black dude with really long braids and a wheelchair was going by me, and I smiled at him. He said, "Hi, baby." I love when people call me baby. My parrot, I call her baby. She calls me baby all the time. Just as I was leaving the house, I thought I'd lay down for a minute, and my parrot was going, "Baby." It's like she's a little green person that can fly. Yeah, we've been together over 23 years. Okay, my friends, let me see what I'm getting. Yeah, bring joy into your life. It doesn't condone anything. It just says, I'm alive to experience this paradigm changing. Like John Lewis, who was beaten up on the bridge there back in the 60s. Back then, Uranus and Pluto, which are major players in what's going on now, and this paradigm changes. Yeah, the next few years, the pendulum's going to swing the other way. 1, 2, 3. Oh, Elizabeth Warren looks very good, finally. Let's see what we have now. Let's see. Yeah, because as I said, people's sons and daughters, really believe Cheney and that mentally challenged W, and sent their kids, and these people will be betrayed. And you cannot, President Obama just decided, we're not going to go back. Get over it. That's what Rahm said. That's what Rahm Emanuel said. Of course, squeaky clean President Obama has this smooth operator, it just blows my mind that he won't take any responsibility. Maybe he doesn't understand he has any responsibility, but we must remind him, because this is bigger. Our democracy is bigger than any, dancing around anybody's wounds or buttering up to anybody famous. Listen, he's financially set for the rest of his natural life, and so are his kids. There's this all pharmaceutical commercials are evil, but this one by this golf pro, and he's even got his daughter in the act. Oh my God! She goes, Nicholson isn't just a golf pro. And I go, no, he's your trust fund. She goes, yeah, he's my dad. Yeah, he's your trust fund, honey. Yeah, know your investment you got in him. There's another, if you win this sweepstakes, your kids will have $5,000, $10,000 a week for the rest of their life. What a curse. What a curse to give on anybody you love. most of my growth, all of my growth comes from nickel and diming it, living on the edge. You know, when I needed to take a class, I would show up earlier, give them a sad song, and then they'd let me clean up the place or stack chairs, get there earlier. I did what I had to do, uh, uh, but most people, as I said, if a saint appeared in their life, they'd only say, look at the purse, you know. Remember that song in the 60s? First, look at the purse. Okay, let's see what we got here, my friends. What do we have to know about the stench coming out of the Bush regime being over and in this blue tsunami I see? Okay, yes, we got the Ace of Pentacles. Yes, you know, people like my age on Social Security now haven't gotten, it's rough. And the way things are now, they make it even rougher. Oh yeah, we're going to be celebrating come February. And that's not that far away. Yeah, there's the three graces. It's like, there's some people that are always antagonistic and looking for a fight, and my advice is to walk away from them. The battle they're fighting is with themselves. But you can't get away from the Trump administration. I mean, this is our government. So I don't know how anybody could separate religion, spirituality from our, it's all the same, Okay, we're growing. This is growing pains we're going through. The wind's going our way now. Here we have the devil card. The chains are loose. The hands are free. We have, as bad as you think Donald Trump and his administration is, they're much, much worse. What they've done behind the scenes already, appointing all of these young, inexperienced people, there's a book now, I can't wait to get my hands on it, talks about the transition that never happened. There were all these people waiting from the Obama era to take over with the Trump era, and they had little finger sandwiches, and they were all hired in this big auditorium, and nobody ever showed up. I wonder if anybody ate the finger sandwiches. Yeah, they're now unemployed. This woman who for decades was the #1 environmentalist, head-high scientist, world-renowned, is now out of a job. And who's been replaced by a party hostess, a woman who made her living out of hosting parties in New York for the elite or something. There's no way you can make light of that. These people, it's just unacceptable now. So everybody's grateful at a banquet. Now, right now is where we have to really work on saying, no, none of this. Cyril Das says, when the Buddhists go like this, when you see something sacred, they close their hands like this in the prayer thing as the lotus blossom. And it's from the roots in the mud and the muck that the white, beautiful enlightenment opens up of the lotus. And you should always, when you see something beautiful, so whenever I see a flower or anything, I walk around a lot and go like this. So the other day I was walking up Buchanan from Safeway, and I passed this most beautiful flowers, but I had two sacks of groceries on either arm. And I was tired. I had taken a hit of something it wasn't indica. It was probably indica. And my legs were starting to feel like cement. I just wanted to get home. I was tired. I was walking up this steep hill, and I saw the most beautiful flowers. This electric blue, and I was too tired to put the things down. But I closed my eyes, and I pictured my hands going like this over my forehead. And blessing, saying thank you for this, connecting with the whole God thing, and then I walked, and I was thinking about wow, I never did that before. I didn't realize you could send blessings if you close your eyes and do that, in your mind. If your hands are busy, you could do that. So I'm walking up another block where it's sort of leveled out, and there's right around from the Zen place over on Laguna and Page is this little playground park area, and I've been walking past that for 30-something years, you know. So, and at one time, long time ago, long before I moved in there, because I've been there 30 years and it's always been there, the kids in that school playground around there, as a class project, made these tiles. And each one, there's like 100 of them on this wall. I walk by them a lot, like 3 times a week. Never really paid much attention to them. They're pretty. But for some reason, I stopped at the top of the hill in front of these things, these squares of kid art that I've passed for 30 years and never noticed. And I put down the things just to give my shoulders a break. And then I pulled out my vape pen to take a hit, fluff up my head a little. And I looked at this one tile and it said, close your eyes, summon your strength, believe. I was like, wow, that was God. That was a note from God to tell me. Because just a few minutes ago, I was doing this, close my eyes, summon my strength, and sent a blessing to this, to the Maker, you know, thankful for, you know, for this whole experience of being conscious. To me, you know, that was like, you know, being connected is that, you know, connecting with, like Einstein said, there's nothing like the mystical, the feeling of the mystical, no amount of money. And people, nobody can make you feel, nothing can make you feel, no money, no job, no piece of art, nothing can make you feel as happy or that warm, lovely feeling as another human being can make you feel. So we really need to, you know, what do they say? The lower they go, the higher we must go, you know? And that's the paradox is how do we get higher? By taking care of the lower. The lowest, the lowest, the lowest. Sure, you know, well, we can do what we can do. But the good thing by taking care of ourselves, I know a lot of people who are really invested in food, and they make themselves sick over the fact that food is being wasted. You know, the food bank brings you food, but then it doesn't get distributed. You know, God can't make a Stradivarius without Stradivarius. You know, God needs you as much as you need God. So when you wake up in the morning, you're turning your life over to your higher power, your creator. Because as a country now, all this Pluto energy, we're going to our first Pluto return. That happens every 250 years or something like that. So since this country was founded 250 years ago, this experiment in democracy, yeah, so we have to make our courage bigger than our fear. And, you know, everybody's into Toll. There's an interesting paragraph I found in this amazing book, The Antidote for Happiness. Happiness for people who can't stand positive thinkers. And it said, if you are unhappy, it's because 99% of everything you think and everything you do is for yourself, and there isn't one. It says, if you had spent any time in the park that dominates Russell Square in central London in the late 1970s, it's possible that you might have noticed a skinny man aged around 30 with delicate, almost elfin features, sitting alone on the park bench doing absolutely nothing. For almost 2 years of his own account, it is believed that Ulrich Toll, that's what his name used to be, he changed it to Eckhart Tolle, sat on park benches all day unless it was raining or snowing hard. Then he sought shelter in nearby public libraries. He spent his nights on the sofas of tolerant friends, occasionally when their tolerance expired, sleeping rough amid the bushes of Hampstead Heath. I guess that's a park in London. All things considered, though, it is unlikely you'd ever have noticed him. Toll was a nobody, and he would have considered this label, and he would not have considered that label an insult, since from his perspective there was a sense of which it was literally true. He was proud to be a nobody. You know, I read this and then I realized, you know, it was different but the same. When I left my body, I realized, thinking I was close to death, and I realized I'm nothing, you know, and that's when I realized I was everything. A few months prior to the beginning of his park bench period, Toll had been living alone in a beset. bedsit in Bensville Park in northern London. I guess that was a hostel with beds. He had recently completed a graduate degree at the University of London. He was depressed to the point of regularly contemplating suicide. Then, the way he tells it, one night when he was filled with even more despair than usual, something happened. Lying nearly paralyzed on his bed in the dark, he underwent a terrifying cataclysmic spiritual experience that he claimed erased his own identity completely. Holy terror! That's what I keep on saying for 10 years now when people say, what was your out-of-body experience like? I said, I know what holy terror is all about. It was a slow movement at first, he wrote. Many years later, I was gripped by an intense fear and my body started to shake. I could feel myself being sucked into a void. Now, people who watch this show, when I explained my out-of-body experience, I said I was sucked out of my body. So reading this the other day, I was like, wow, you know, different but the same. Well, of course, he had Oprah Winfrey, and one of the was that a lot of powerful women helped him along the way. Suddenly, there was no more fear. He says, I let myself fall into the void. I have no recollection of what happened after that. He lost consciousness. When he awoke the next day, he knew instinctively he was no longer the person he had been before. I thought I was a walk-in. Of course, Bruce Montgomery had talked about extraterrestrials among us, ET, you know, walk-ins, and they walk out and someone walks in. I only got 2 minutes left here. I love you guys, and I love being noticed on the streets of San Francisco. I love my place. I'll be here. Remember, yes on 10, yes on 10. It says it right on the beginning. The homeowners. Now, unless I don't know many people who own a home here in San Francisco. Most people rent, and most of them are on rent control and stuff like that. So just read it very carefully, and you'll agree with me. Yes on 10, yes on 10. I saw a whole people in front of City Hall the other day with these blue shirts saying yes on 10. Vote, 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 vote. I love you, I love you. Get involved, please, and tell everybody to, you know, when they feel that anger, move it up a few chakras. Move it up a few chakras. Well, we're just about ready to go. And remember, being afraid is telling you that you have more faith in evil than in God. Remember, if you're a conscious person, evil, non-cooperation with evil is as much a duty as cooperation with good. I love you. Namaste.